Picture a bus in space, a space bus, and you're the driver. It's the miracle of space travel, now so commonplace that riders have nothing better to do than give bad reviews because they had to go to the bathroom and there weren't any space outhouses nearby. Hi, I'm Ulysses. I'm looking at games from a design perspective, trying to pick out what things I think work well and what could be better. This one is Spacelines from the Far Out, an outer space roguelike passenger management game. You and your friends crew a passenger spaceship from spaceport to spaceport, tending to passenger needs to keep your company rating high while keeping an eye on your budget and trying not to die. As the crew of this spaceship, you actually have a lot of autonomy, which introduces a lot of uncertainty. If it's hard to decide how to spend your resources in the game because of the trade-offs, that's actually usually good game design smell. For example, there are upgrades to the ship. A better cooking station to feed hungry passengers faster, a TV to entertain passengers so you don't have to dance and can focus on not hitting an asteroid, a toilet so you don't have to stop when someone has to go to the bathroom. But using the upgrade costs more fuel, and the toilet can get dirty, which makes the passengers sick if you don't stop to pay for cleaning service. You can plan your own route, both choosing which spaceports you want to stop at and how you want to navigate through the space between them. Which means you have to think about stuff like, do I want to head towards a spaceport where I can purchase upgrades, or one that has a bank where I can deposit money and buy insurance to replace the ship in case I crash it? On a more granular scale, while piloting, you'll have to decide whether to go back to that toilet you saw 2 minutes ago so your passenger can pee and give you a good rating, or make them tough it out and burn fuel to accelerate to the next spaceport, in the hopes that they can hold it long enough. Should you pick up more passengers from the bus stop? That's more money! But if you run out of food, everyone will be unhappy and give you a bad rating because they're so hungry. And you don't want a bad rating. A bad rating means lower ticket sales, and an auditor might come on board to evaluate the cleanliness of the ship and if the systems are broken or not. Interestingly, you can play this game single player, which I did in the beginning, and the trade-offs that you have to make while piloting the ship are brutal. As you're trying to repair parts of the ship, passengers are complaining about being hungry, bored, or having to pee. Going over to do Dance Dance Revolution for them is the last thing you want to do while you're navigating an asteroid field. In multiplayer, we ended up designating one person as pilot, navigator, and repairman, while the other person danced for the passengers and made them food. This makes the game work pretty well as a party game, as my teammate had never played the game before, and I didn't have to tell them about the fuel, navigating, or whatever. Your rating as a company stays with you after you crash the ship, and this actually points to something about this game that I think is quite rare to see. When you first start playing this game, you have 1 star, but if you do poorly and crash your ship, you can dip below that and start off the next run with 0 stars, or lose a ship you've upgraded over several runs. Negative meta progression. Interesting. Yes, on the surface, the game is a roguelike. One typical aspect of roguelikes is when you die, you start from scratch. A lot of games have tweaked that model to let you make some progress when you die, even if that's just unlocking some new random items you might find on the next run. But this game is not really a roguelike. The money you deposit in the bank stays with you from run to run, and if you make it all the way to the final destination and start over again, you still have your upgraded ship and money. It's as if the game is trying to get you to think bigger. You are not just making runs across the stars. You are building an airline, a space line, with unlockable characters, ship colors, parts, layouts, logos. Even if your robot helper makes you think that you are just a low, replaceable cog in the machine, you can literally change the name of the company. You're like one of those undercover bosses. Yeah. I think what the design of the game forces you to do is reconcile contrasting ideas. On one hand, you're exploring the universe in a faster-than-light starship out of something like the Jetsons. On the other hand, passengers are pissing and vomiting next to you, expecting you to dance for them because they're bored and they want to post about how cringed you look. The spaceports you dock at are actually pretty cool. There's a vibe about air travel in general, and the space travel in this game. That's just very optimistic, retro-futurist, with the bright colors and everything feeling light and floaty. There are lots of curves and disc shapes everywhere. But in many ways, this is what a mundane spaceship hub might look like. The passengers excitedly disembark, completely ignoring you. There are big hubs and small hubs, lots of decorations and somewhat sterile waiting areas. The future is beautiful, and also, ugh. And this dissonance compounds as you play your role as both space pilot and janitor/line cook. The game consists of long periods of everything going smoothly with short bursts of high stress, when suddenly there's a comet coming towards you and the radar's broken and a passenger wants to go to the bathroom and the person next to them is hungry and you're running low on fuel. It seems like all these things that require your attention happen on some timer, and when they synchronize, things get rough. There were even a couple times when I was playing where it felt like we did everything correctly, but because of where the toilets were located on the route, how many people got hungry or bored, we still ended up with an overall negative rating. And when the gravity system starts to malfunction, movement within the ship is slowed and everyone starts to feel space sick. And it happens with no warning, and not a care to what's going on inside or outside the ship. If somebody is hungry as you're arriving to the next spaceport, you have to make one of those trade-offs between delaying docking to feed them and not feeding them, both risking a lower rating. And the passengers seem to reflect that real human trait of loss aversion, in that no amount of dancing is going to undo the bad rating when somebody vomits on the floor. However, the stakes are higher than just getting a bad rating. You live with this existential dread, knowing that one wrong move, like hitting a fat asteroid, could cost you your entire ship and all the money in your wallet. The negative meta progression I mentioned earlier makes death have an even heavier cost. You've got the best ship you've ever had, and playing has never been smoother, but that could all disappear. There's a tutorial in the game, but a lot is left unsaid. There's a beautiful employee manual, but it leaves so many questions unanswered. When choosing where to travel next, you can make out the shapes of what's coming up 2-3 stops ahead on the path, but you have to recognize what the buildings are from experience because the game won't tell you what they are. They could remove some of these elements, like let you keep some percentage of your money when you die and pay a hefty sum to salvage your amazing ship after you die, or give you one do-over from the last spaceport after you die. But I actually feel like the game is well balanced as is, and the little spurts of stress actually make the wins more enjoyable, especially if you're playing with friends. It usually doesn't feel unfair when you die. The piloting doesn't change a lot throughout the game, so starting over means you basically just get a break for a while to decompress, until you get further where everything seems to break down faster and more passengers are coming on board. Okay, that's it. Thank you!